It's like, this is the clearest, like, fixed fight you're ever going to see. But look at this guy holding his hands out and watch. Watch that. He, like, literally shows him his chin,
like,
and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at, I mean, he's got nothing. It's like,
I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, he came to my ears and whispered, "Please be easy on me." He thought I'm Mike Tyson and I will follow his script 40 seconds after I broke the clown's jaw. We are boxers, not content creators. I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw...
The day after I woke up and told my wife, "Why did I do that?" I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on. I remember one thing, I had a very hard moment in that part of my life. But I assure you, in that age, I could have put that clown in the first round, but I sold my soul. And
you could only take so much. And at a certain, like that one that he got from Joshua, say if you have like a punch card, you have like so many punches that you can get in your life, which I believe you do. I believe there's a certain number. That one was like 10 bunches.
Yeah.
That was like,
yeah.
It was
Some argue that situations like this are simply part of boxing, where injuries are an unavoidable risk and competitors are expected to carry on. However, the circumstances surrounding this moment tell a different story. The event was promoted as something credible and authentic. Despite questions about whether that status had truly been earned, when promotion moves faster than reality, consequences eventually follow. Here, those consequences came in the form of physical damage, medical intervention, and lasting effects that few are willing to openly acknowledge.
He's so big. He's so much bigger. So, of course, like, his punch that he knocks Tyron Woodley out cold with, Joshua just eats it.
Yeah.
Because he's a giant.
Yeah.
He's a fucking giant man.
So big, dude.
Instead, he represents a system where individuals can become brands. And brands are often driven forward until limits are reached. When problems arise, responsibility tends to shift from creators to participants, then to circumstances or luck. Yet outcomes are never accidental, because fights are arranged by people, and every decision carries weight. Regardless of whether accountability is accepted later, the impact will likely be felt across the sport. Fighters may become more cautious. Regulatory bodies could apply stricter scrutiny, and insurers may grow more selective. As financial opportunities become less certain, support can fade quickly, and admiration can turn into distance. Even fans who enjoy entertainment still seek something genuine. And Anthony Joshua's performance reflected that authenticity in a way that makes watered-down versions of reality more difficult to promote in the future.
Paul, pin him down and hurt him. That has been the request leading up, and that was on my mind. It took a bit longer than expected, but the right hand found...
Fight. Rumors began spreading that Jake Paul had allegedly tried to influence Anthony Joshua ahead of the bout. And as footage of the knockout continued circulating, the moment felt increasingly unsettling because it represented more than a fighter. Being hurt, it looked like a carefully built business. Strategy colliding with the raw reality of true competition in front of millions. In situations like this, promoters and partners often shift their focus toward protecting reputations, managing reactions, and controlling damage rather than immediately providing clear answers, which is reflected in cautious statements and lingering unanswered questions. Jake Paul's boxing journey had been built through a highly controlled structure where opponents, narratives, and risks were carefully managed, a system that only works when everyone follows the expected script. However, when Anthony Joshua fought him with the approach of a traditional heavyweight contender, that structure broke down instantly, replacing certainty with tension and exposing how fragile the illusion had been.
Seemed to me like sparring.
Yeah.
When I watched it, which, look, I paid for it. They got me. I thought it was going to be a real fight, but I'm not mad.
$1 million on
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why, look, maybe it was a real fight. Maybe that's just the level that they both fight at. But, it seemed a little sus.
People describe it as bravery. And stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua certainly requires courage. But courage without sound judgment can quickly become risk. And risk is often protected against by networks, while fighters are the ones who endure the physical consequences. That is why the situation feels deeply uncomfortable, because the matchup did not happen by accident. Someone approved it while fully aware of the difference in skill, the potential danger, and the probable outcome. And approval inevitably brings responsibility even when no one is eager to accept it. What makes the moment especially troubling is not only the injury itself, but the example it sets. Since allowing an influencer-driven brand to face elite heavyweight power removes any uncertainty about the limits involved, leaving every future crossover bout measured against Anthony Joshua's decisive punch and making it far harder for promoters to claim. They did not understand the risks in a single unforgettable incident.
Not surprised that Anthony Joshua could have knocked Jake Paul out anytime he wanted to. He didn't want to.
So why didn't he?
Because, well, when you're on a platform like Netflix that turns one-part episodes into a 6-part series, why would you think that part of their entertainment model is to have a 30-second fight? Why? Because you watch a Netflix series, you can watch it and you can go, well, I get the gist of it. Why have you got to turn it into 10 episodes? Because I'm dying with boredom after episode.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasized, listen, guys, take this as long as you can?
Anthony Joshua didn't step, irrespective. I sat to all these guys, whether it be Spencer or Paul Smith, talking about the fact that Jake Paul couldn't run, didn't have the footwork.
Not surprising. Even if the exact moment that caused it could not have been predicted, because boxing has repeatedly shown what happens when entertainment crosses the line of reasonable judgment. Situations like this often begin as humor, turn into curiosity, grow into concern, and eventually end in regret. And the sport now seems caught between those final stages as narratives slowly change and timelines are quietly adjusted behind the scenes. It is difficult to believe that those involved lacked awareness, since professionals in this industry understand impact, damage, and risk assessment, suggesting the decision was a calculated gamble where someone was always likely to come out on the losing side. What makes the outcome unsettling is how definitive and revealing it appeared, far beyond what many likely anticipated, and moments like that are often when hidden realities begin to surface.
Right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the 2-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
A guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand, and he's a one-punch killer, and you're going to stand in front of that guy, and he avoids
Remarks about memory loss continue to stand out because statements like that are rarely meaningless. They feel more like warnings than casual observations. Whether the concern is physical, mental, or emotional, it created an uneasiness that was never truly addressed and instead faded beneath promotional excitement until Joshua's knockout brought those fears back into focus. Fighters observing the situation are not focused on headlines or controversy. They notice positioning, timing, intention, and the moment when Jake Paul appeared to realize the conditions were no longer controlled, and the sense of protection was never real. Illusions of safety can end careers suddenly, which helps explain why reactions behind the scenes have seemed far more serious and restrained than the tone.
I mean, I told everyone, though, that I would do better than Francis, and that Francis kind of got no chin.
So
Francis low-key soft.
You made it further than Francis.
Yeah.
So I mean, by he won 6 rounds.
Rogan's change in tone after the fight did not come across as outrage, but as realization, because when someone with decades of exposure to combat sports begins suggesting retirement, the message is rarely about pride or publicity, it's about avoiding a future disaster. Comments like that usually come from recognizing patterns of damage and understanding when a situation is moved beyond entertainment and into something more concerning. A point where the event stops being spectacle and starts serving as a clear warning.
Here, as I look at it, for the fans, it put boxing still on the map because it keeps boxing relevant. Having exhibition fights like this, different celebrities and different things like that. I look at it as a fun thing for fans and stuff like that. I don't really take it seriously, because we in the business of boxing. That right there is just exhibition stuff. But I'm hearing they say it's a real fight. But yeah, it's a real fight because both guys are getting there.
Appears to be unfolding now. Looks like reputation control happening in real time. Because when clear explanations take this long to surface, it often suggests that stories are being adjusted and carefully coordinated behind the scenes. If the situation were simple, firm answers would likely have already been provided. Yet instead, there is a wave of shifting narratives, diversions, and careful rewording that adds to uncertainty and leaves the entire situation feeling increasingly complex managed and uneasy.
Simon, when you look at it, Jake Paul posted on Twitter after the fight, jaw broken, heart and balls intact. That's a good thing. Time to rest, recover, and return to cruiserweight. I mean, he's coming out of it as if
Joshua isn't a hero or villain. Here, he's the catalyst. Exposing a system built on control the moment he landed a decisive punch. His calm, workmanlike approach highlighted the mental gap between seasoned fighters and manufactured stars. While Jake Paul now carries more than physical damage, as confidence after such a moment becomes performative and risky, behind the scenes, Joshua's victory shattered the existing risk model, forcing promoters, commissions, and insurers to reconsider crossover fights, and showing that when real force replaces narrative control, consequences are immediate and unavoidable. This moment will shape future influencer boxing, as illusions erode and honesty or humility becomes the only way forward, because the sport can survive scandals, but not the denial of physics.